Oh, hi there. It is 4:38 a.m. in the morning, which would normally not be an issue, well, oddly enough for me. However, in making this video, it will, it will confirm the suspicions of particular individuals who have prescribed me psychiatric medicine. I was told it was a low dose. However, I took it not yesterday, not the day before, or was it the night before? Yeah, it was the night before that. And this thing, it's hit me like a sack of potatoes. So the thing is, I've not taken it since my prescription because I took it at the hospital voluntarily. Because all kinds of head feelings I was getting. Um, However, it reminded me of some things, in particular about what's wrong with the marijuana movement. Um, some interesting points were that there are, areas where there's no way that the local food growers or distilleries or whatever would ever agree to having marijuana, be the dominant, um, um, thing people take, or like smoke, or instead of drinking alcohol. And that is true, but if everybody still thinks Justin Trudeau is such a great guy because he says nice things on the television, and the women think he's handsome and all that sort of stuff, then he gets reelected and he will have more power. And then those guys who are responsible for growing wheat and you know the type of food products that they prefer, as opposed to the ones Justin Trudeau is trying to push, as honorable a man as he is, they will have no choice but to switch over to marijuana crops because it's a cash cow for the government. Okay, there's the chance that they go, I'm not taking orders from this douchebag, I'm going to go do my own thing, which is continue to grow, the ingredients for alcohol, for example. And the thing is, like, um, Justin Trudeau will have already anticipated that. Things like that happened in the past. For example, in World War II, one of the intricacies of it is that there was a helmet manufacturer who used to make M40s, which is a helmet. It's just they call it M40 over in history because it was made in 1940. Um, and it was slightly different than the previous model, which was made in 1935, and different from the 1942 model, which, anyway, the story was that Hitler had to directly phone this manufacturer and tell him to stop making 1940 helmets and make 1942. The only thing is 1942 helmets were actually inferior to the 1940 helmets. Well, some of them anyway, um, because you know they weren't designed as well. They were made with less metal. There was a couple procedures that were skipped because the war was moving on and on. Anyway, this one manufacturer went, you know what? Fuck you, Hitler. I'm gonna go do my own thing. I'm gonna make the helmets the way I want to make them. Justin Trudeau knows this lesson. He knows there's going to be an asshole out there who's going to go, fuck you, I'm not doing it. And, he will have had the legal documentation and all that kind of, bullshit, so that guy has to put up with it this time. In different contexts, but, it's the same story. It's in different contexts. So you may get the province of Saskatchewan, for example, that is renowned for growing weed and things like that, they may have no choice but to start growing marijuana plants. And, you'll get idiots who go, oh no, man, like, totally, dude. They picked it because it's like the smart thing, because, and they make money. No, you fucking asshole. They're the ones who are gonna get the shaft. Because guess what? The fucking douchebags who've been pushing marijuana for decades are the ones who are gonna have the head start. And not only that, they're going to be bitter about having the head start. So they're going to turn around and go, well, you have to make or grow marijuana instead of making ingredients for alcohol, except you're going to, because of distribution of resources, you're going to get the tail end of it. They get it first, and then they get it. For example, the province of Saskatchewan, they'll get, what's next in line. And, so Justin Trudeau, if given the popular vote, will have enough resources to, and strength to actually push his agenda. Because everyone goes, oh, alcohol's not going away. And to an extent, it's not, at least at this point in time. What they're going to do is it'll taper off. It'll gradually go away because it looks as though Justin Trudeau wants it to go away. It'll never go away for guys like him because they like it too, which makes him a hypocrite. And, and his cronies. However, he will, he sees more money to be made in marijuana, and he likes to put on his sanctimonious cape and go, it's Justin Trudeau to the rescue, and really he embarrassed the whole nation, couldn't even stand up to a third world shithole like India, and it's like, you're blithering incompetent, aren't you? Aren't you? And, like, it's all in hindsight, of course. He goes, oh, it has nothing to do with me, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna tiptoe around this, and so long as nothing bad happens to me, I don't care. Uh, that's alright for you, because it doesn't matter what price the alcohol becomes, he can afford it, whereas everyone else cannot. And then people, at first marijuana would be a decent price, right? For marijuana smokers. I am not a marijuana smoker. Wasn't one before, and I'm certainly not going to become one now because I have, a political reason for not liking marijuana. Um, Also, what was I getting at? Oh, I had a point. Hey, give me a second here. Well, yeah, and then they make money. Yeah. No, wait. um, yeah, Justin Trudeau, I was talking about him and how I don't like him and the marijuana thing. Damn it, being 4:47 a.m. in the morning. I can't remember everything. I'm discombobulated. Um, Give me a damn second here, would you? Um, was kind of important. Uh, what was it? Hmm. Oh, very unusual. It's completely slipped from my head. The exact intricacy point that I wanted to make. Um, it had a lot to do with. Yeah, I mentioned the fact that there will be, um, farmers and corporations that run the farming industries, the particular ones that won't agree with it. And hindsight is 2020, and Justin Trudeau is going to make them grow what he wants them to because of money. And oh, this is damn funny. It is. It's hilarious. Um, oh, um, because there was an exact point I wanted to make. It wasn't a generic one. Like, if you wanted, a generic point for me to talk about, I guess we'll put that on pause, and maybe I'll rewind this and figure out what it was I was going to say and say it in the next video. However, this is recording, so I'm going to move on to the next point because I can't think of what it is at this second. Got confused for a second. Anyway, okay, so there's that aspect. That the comparison I made to German helmets of World War II will be applied to, in a different way, a different context, of course, to the marijuana and how it'll be grown. That it doesn't matter if one of the subordinates doesn't agree with Justin Trudeau. It's Justin Trudeau. He lays down the law, and that's the way it is. And this guy's not going to put up with it, but Justin Trudeau will have already anticipated that as well. And, alcohol will slowly be phased out. And that's a thing that people don't understand, because you don't know how scary some of the MADD people are, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Some of them are the most gigantic of assholes ever imaginable. And, maybe they have some reasoning for it. And some of them are like 80 years old, right? They've seen alcoholics for a long time. And, they take a look at me, a man of 32 years of age, and they go, why, that whippersnapper, what does he have a right to tell me why I shouldn't like alcohol, speaking from their point of view. And I'm going to go, all of that bullshit that happened during your time, guess what? That doesn't have anything to do with me. It doesn't. And to suggest that it does would make you kind of crazy. I think you should take your medication. I mean, I've taken mine, so well, just not the olanzapine for a couple of days, because that stuff had whoa, it was like that opening scene in Lord of the Rings, where after Sauron was defeated, like this big thing, like explosion, knocks everybody to the ground. Well, it did that to me for about 3 friggin' days. So one could not blame someone for not wanting to take it again so quickly. I think that's reasonable. Yeah. And yeah, there was another point I want to make too. It was really important about this as well. Yeah, the slowly phasing out of alcohol, because these Mothers Against Drunk Driving, which doesn't necessarily have to be a woman, but it was a woman who started it, I would presume. And there are many mothers that are within that organization. There are all kinds of people within that organization, and all of them are contradicting my authority, and I don't like it. They're the ones causing me all the damn problems, I think. And it's not that they're wrong, it's that I disagree. And I have my own reasons for doing so. And as I was going to say earlier, hindsight is 2020. So it's easy for Trudeau to turn around and go, well, I'm going to blame alcohol for this, that, and the other. I'm going to blame the agricultural industry for overgrowing wheat, which, takes more water to grow, blah, 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 blah. And I'd made this point earlier that, if marijuana crops were there then and were the predominant one, you think they wouldn't have fucked up in a lot of ways? And, I did mention Predator 2, the movie, and I went, this is a neurological disorder waiting to happen. And, You put a doobie in somebody's hands and they go to watch that, they're going to have an episode of some kind. Or you put a, glass of martini in somebody's hand, like a sophisticated gentleman I am from the South. And, worst case scenario was I got a little bit sleepy. And that would be it. And go, oh, this movie is stupid, and I could point out everything stupid about Predator 2 and why the original Predator was way better. I mean, to be honest with you, I would say, well, you should, really see who the characters are as people, but who were the characters in those movies, and were they all, totally respectable. Ooh, that would be insulting Arnold Schwarzenegger, Billy Duke, and Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura, and Sonny Landham, and there was a couple other guys too. Well, there was that old timer at the beginning of Predator, but he may have been an asshole in real life. I really don't know. But anyway, that would be suggesting that you got to take their characters as people into consideration. And, to be honest with you, those new guys in the Predator movie, they didn't have it harder than the guys in the original Predator. They act like they did because they're a bunch of little bitches, but they didn't have it harder. And this whole mental disorder, googly-eyed, can't relax about anything. It's not really good for the propaganda apparatus. And it's not a good thing because it makes, marijuana will intensify paranoia, intensify depression, anxiety. It always has done. These things that people say they're great about marijuana are in fact inaccurate. I mean, over time, the scientists will formulate a combination that they have willing test subjects who will pay for their stuff that will work out. The only thing is, at this present stage of the game, they need to sort of push aside the older crowd of marijuana smokers so that they can program the new crowd of marijuana smokers. And movies like Predator, the one recently released, that is going to cause marijuana smokers of the older generations to panic based on how that movie was presented. It didn't make me feel like that when I watched it, because I don't smoke marijuana. However, I did conclude that I don't like this movie. I don't like the style of this movie. I don't feel more educated by watching it. And there are a lot of people who go, well, you should feel more educated. More things are going on and things like that. Less is more. Sometimes when a movie is a little more relaxed and the story is a little bit more simple, then it's better than a movie where it's like some crazy outhouse rat must have invented this movie. And Predator 2018, totally out of the picture. And it has something to do with marijuana. So I haven't gone off track. This is it's a complex subject. And as I was saying, there will be growers that will not go along with Justin Trudeau's program because they see him for who he is. And they'll do their best to, subvert his authority because they don't like him anyway. And, that's entirely understandable. And you can't have hordes of idiots making decisions. So it doesn't matter if he gets the popular vote by, women that like him, homos that like him, and all that kind of stuff. based on his appearance on the television, going, "Look at me, I'm so nice to people," and things like that. I would never think of being a bad guy. Lousy hypocrite, Justin Trudeau. I was concerned because I was vaguely aware of this type of thing, but evidently Justin Trudeau may have a third face, and it's like anonymous. It's anonymous. It's like there's nothing in there. It would appear. So he may not be totally against alcohol, but at the present time, that's not what it looks like, and it may be for less than honorable reasons, and it may be for corrupt reasons, mostly. And then they make money. That's a Team America joke. Anyway, I wouldn't worry about it too much. However, some people, I don't want to be the guy going, "Yeah, man, I'm out there enlightening people, man. I tell them things that other people don't know, and like, dude, I'm 32. I've seen it all." No, I haven't, but I don't need to see it all. I'm allowed to have an opinion. I live in so-called democracy. Some people argue that it should be more of a republic because, if 1,000 goons show up, they shouldn't be allowed to take your stuff. However, democracy / republic, there's got to be a balance in between, And I guess that could be said the same as of marijuana and alcohol, in a sense that, different context, but in the same sense that there should be a balance, and I believe marijuana should be regulated. That is true because, there are certain peoples that are less than trustworthy with it, and you got no ideas what they'll put in it. Yeah, you don't know. They could put any bunch of junk in it. And the problem is, even under government control, they could still put any junk in it and you wouldn't know. I mean, they'd be a little bit better at it, but, it wouldn't be that much better. And, it's amazing, isn't it? Society is built on a deck of cards, and one, well-placed fart shift in the wind, and all those cards are all going to fall over. And that's, the human domino effect, unfortunately, where they all fall like dominoes. Dominoes. Oh, that's funny. Some people are pissed off at me because of my, I've got an opinion, and it's pissing people off. Anyway, there are allies in this situation, and I think Doug Ford may be one. So, play around a little bit, okay? With my fake news sort of approach to this. I think he owes me a favor for that time. I made a video in regards to his brother who knew he was, he knew he was not well. And, I made a video where I said, look, he was smoking some crack, who cares? Leave him alone. He was having a little bit of fun, before he passed on. And, did I ever get rickrolled because of that? By the Psychiatric Institute, of course, because they were looking for any excuse to do anything they wanted to me. Which is a bunch of bullshit. But anyway, yeah, so I would like to think that Doug Ford owes me one. And we have the same ideas. Like, Doug Ford does not strike me as somebody who would pick marijuana over alcohol. I gotta say, I'll say it for what it is, man. He does not look like the character that would do that. And you have to take into consideration also the types of industries that would be in more support of alcohol, and that custom way of thinking. And that would be also the beef industry. Because if you think that, oh, because there are farmers and meat producers and things like that, that there aren't corporate execs and subordinates of their organizations that don't have their hands in both cookie jars to make as much money as possible, you'd be wrong. And that's the other thing Justin Trudeau is trying to get rid of. He's trying to weaken the beef industry, as well as the poultry industry, and also normal kind of meat industry. Because an excessive meat diet, like if all you do is eat burgers every day, then obviously that's not too great for your health. It gives you a lot of cholesterol and things like that. And you could have lived longer if you ate some more vegetables. All good and well. I have seen individuals who were vegan or vegetarian. They were vegan at first. They always come crawling back to meat, though. They always do. And I knew a fellow, slender build. Physically, he was stronger than me. Like he was doing pull-ups like mad, and and things like that. So he had really strong arms, and they were really long too. And he weighed like 145 pound. He told me, and he was as tall as I was, right? And I'm 200 pound, as tall as I am, so he was lighter. But the thing is, those muscles, one little prick, and the fact that he has no fat. Those muscles will go into nothing. And then he'll be, a scrawny weakling. I mean, I'm not just going to say that couldn't happen if you have, an even distribution of fat to muscle. Because, there's medications that make you lose weight real quick as well. And also muscle. So they'd have to work a little bit harder. Or get a little bit more paperwork, I should say. And this isn't all some brain fart at 5:06 a.m. in the morning. This is like an actual thing, Yeah, getting back to how the legalization of marijuana doesn't affect just marijuana. It affects everything else. These dominoes, as I say. And it's like somebody's gonna stand up to that douchebag, Justin Trudeau. I'm not the guy, but somebody could do it. And he's always going, oh, Canadian values, Canadian culture. Meanwhile, he's trying to change what Canadian culture is. And if he thinks, people go, well, they'll watch the news in the morning, and there'll be a guy on a moose, right? And it's a Canadian commercial, right? Guy on a moose, and he's like, I just stole the identity of a guy named Kyle in Manitoba. The older crowd will go, oh, that's wonderful. Canada is still important and things like that. Nice little bit of propaganda there, Justin Trudeau. But unfortunately, no. That does not deceive me. Oh, that's just my oh, fuck. Did I get scared there for a second? I don't like surprises. My Marilyn Monroe poster fell over for some reason. Don't like being surprised like that. Anyway, oh, that's not funny. I'm under a lot of, I have things to be concerned about. Well, I don't say I'm stressed, because that wouldn't be true, but, like, I don't like sudden sounds. I think it's a bit of animal instinct. It's like, if I hear a sudden sound, that means something is after me. I don't know why I would think that. Okay, so, yeah. Back to what I was discussing. which was marijuana, and why I don't subscribe to that channel, because that does not every half an hour or so my computer the monitor goes on quiet mode if I am not active on it. That's why I have to move the mouse around. Anyway, back to what I was saying about marijuana. Yeah, as you can see, my Marilyn Monroe poster fell over. It's no big deal or anything. It's one of those things. And I think I was being tested because speaking of posters, this poster over here, I'm wondering why one of the tacks fell out of it. I mean, theoretically, if that fell on the ground and I went there in a drunken state, I may not notice and, scratch myself with it. And with the way these houses are built these days, because this is a fairly new house, they're not really meant for taking tacks. I mean, what happens is that, basically you put a tack in and the wall around it starts to crumble and the poster, eventually starts to fall down. And it's like, I'm not keen on that. I like having posters. So anyway, yeah, like I found it on the ground, obviously. I noticed that my poster was missing a tack, and I'm well aware there isn't one there. That one legitimately kept falling out because of me moving backwards and forwards on my computer chair. Getting in and out of it and things like that, because I got this thing in the background, and it's it's a confined space to an extent. So anyway, the tack on the left, though, which is just here in the corner above where it says Posters Inc., that has never fallen out before. And, I did notice, and I put it back. So, ain't nothing to be worried about. Yeah, now the more important discussions. That'd be, like, I don't want the culture of Canada to change in that direction, because, that would revolve around the idea and everything that goes with it is correct over alcohol. And it's like, okay, a lot of people have fucked up when they've drank alcohol. However, as I've said, that don't have anything to do with me. And it don't have anything to do with anybody reasonable. And if a body isn't reasonable, it doesn't matter if it has alcohol in it or not. And same thing goes for marijuana. If it is not reasonable, it will fuck up in its own way anyway. So to solely blame someone who's in a car accident, or for example, them drinking as the reason, that would be a thing to consider, but it's not the whole picture, obviously, because the person would obviously be a cunt if he got into a car accident while intoxicated. And I've seen plenty of people who are sober who shouldn't have a license. So yeah, I mean, obviously, alcohol has caused a lot of problems, but so has marijuana. The virulent campaign on the internet talking about how marijuana has been this, good thing, and it has never done anything to anybody. Nobody believes your bullshit. And I know people are going to turn around and say the same thing as me, and then, they could pick up gross examples of the meat industry and go, you're wrong. How about you're an idiot and I'm right? Did you ever consider that? Did you? Because I don't think you did. I like to consider all options. Really think, and not from a biased perspective, like I want to make money and I want them not to make money because I don't like them as people. I certainly would never think that. It would be inappropriate. Uh, However, I am strongly against people trying to take away booze, and it's not just the nostalgia of drinking alcohol and people going, but it wastes water because you're turning water into a diuretic, which means that every time you drink a beer, you're thinking about taking a piss. I guess if you're a pansy, you are. But I could drink like 10 beers, and then, I'll have to use a washroom, obviously, because it's a liquid. And, outside of that, I actually, I really want to drink more regular water, right? As opposed to alcohol, which has a certain amount of alcohol in it. And, water in it. And, I'm not going to do that. Well, I am, because it's better for my body. Unfortunately, with all these medications and things like that I have to take that I don't have no idea what they are, it makes it more difficult for me to drink regular water than it should be. And unfortunately, the water business is something I don't particularly like either, because there are, business execs like that Swiss bastard from Nestle's who, he was the poster old man boy for the, oh, water can't be free, blah, blah, blah. And he's right to an extent, but if he thinks that Swiss bastard is taking my water, he can forget it. That's not what's happening. I mean, he probably already did, but I'm taking it back if I can help it. And this is not fake news. Like, I mean it, man. Like, I've developed a psychological apparatus that is more tuned to my way of thinking. No, I ain't done squat, actually. I woke up, probably about over 40 minutes ago, and this is a new day for me. Oh, the humanity. Yeah, something's got to get done. And, oh no, they say Justin Trudeau's got to go. I forget how the rest of that song goes, but that's all I need to know, is that's what I think. Because what is he really? A big, stupid Godzilla type thing that looks like a big, giant marijuana bud. That's what he looks like. And I think he's a douchebag. That's, my opinion on the matter. Are we allowed to think around here, or what? Sometimes I think that we're not allowed to think, and that people get mad when you start thinking. I mean, even if it's benign, why would somebody get mad about you thinking? And I don't think marijuana promotes good thinking. Like, as I told you, and I keep using the Predator 2018 as an example, is that, that's a neurological disorder waiting to happen. You did that on purpose, Justin Trudeau. And you look at the characters that, because obviously Donald Trump, he looks like he'd rather drink alcohol than smoke marijuana. That's what it looks like. And the president before him, Obama, looked like he'd rather smoke marijuana than drink alcohol, if he had to choose between them. As it were, he probably drank hard alcohol, he probably smoked 2 packets of cigarettes a day, and he probably smoked marijuana. Well, he did smoke marijuana, and that was his stance. And you know what? That's all good and well. Maybe he doesn't have cholesterol issues, but he's got other health problems. He's far from benevolent. And, it is a balance. You don't want too much cholesterol, and obviously a lot of the burgers and things like that have too much cholesterol in it, too much fat, too much of the bad kind. You only need enough. And I don't think having, a very low fat content and too much muscle is a science that's been figured out yet. Some people say it's 2%. It's 2%. Was it 2% because that's what it is? Fat to muscle ratio. Is that what it is, or is that what you're telling because that's the story you want to spin? Is the question. Because I'm less than convinced that 2% is ideal. Because I've seen people who've gone for, the 2% ratio and the rest muscle, or, no weight at all. And I don't want to look like that. And I think that, your body and its appearance has a psychological effect. It most certainly does for me, because I took psychiatric medicine for a number of years, and there are a number of side effects of it. And the softening of the pectoral muscles is something I'm suspecting is the fault of psychiatric medicine. And it's embarrassing, okay? I've tried to work out as best I can. It's not so easy when I got a sore throat, which was caused by the psychiatric medicine. And if marijuana goes through, then, you know what, they can customize it for each individual person, what kind of treatment plan they will be getting, because they'll use the guise that it's, them self-medicating. And therefore, it's needs to be observed and monitored, and it's for their safety, and blah, blah, blah. And it's also so that the pharmaceutical company that's pushing that particular thing, which would be marijuana, gets to experiment on people, and they don't even know it. So you may get, one geezer who goes, "Oh, this is great, I feel amazing," and another one who feels like trash, and you may go, "Well, maybe that's big pharma and the government saying, well, that guy was a bad person," and all they do is turn around, deny that they've done anything wrong. But that wouldn't be true. They directly caused his problems. This is a hypothetical, of course, and yeah, it's like they'll be able to pick people out at random and be mean to them for no reason, and they'll have no idea why things are like that for them, because they won't question marijuana. They'll go, "Oh, but I'm buying it from a government establishment instead of some, sleazy looking dealer." But what they don't understand is the government is also a sleazy looking dealer. And yes, I'm sure me saying this on the internet is a no-no. However, I am making a valid point, and in my righteous might, I say that alcohol stays. And if I have to, oh, damn it. I don't want to be, the Gandalf here, because he was smoking marijuana, and I disagree. Where he's right along the bridge, and he uses his staff to break the bridge, and the Balrog is, coming towards him, and it falls down, and it drags him down too with its whip. Yeah, that's not happening to me. I never saw myself as a Gandalf type, to be honest with you. I more saw myself as a Boromir type, actually, because Aragorn was such, a crawler to the elves. It was so irritating. Like, yes, we got the idea. Liv Tyler was a very attractive woman, and still is. Although there were some parts of her that weren't that attractive, I will say. They're like, if you want to be, really, really picky about it, her elbows didn't look too great. I'm not going to argue with that. But, it's like, whatever. But, and she may have what they call the peach fuzz right now. I don't know. Maybe it was digitally edited, so it looked like that. Or maybe it was the truth. I don't know. But what I do know is that there are things going on, and I don't like them. But I did like Boromir. Boromir was all right. Sean Bean, in that TV series Legends, he looked like he had it rough. And, he's a decent guy, and he shouldn't have to put up with that, but he looked like he had it rough. It's the same as Viggo Mortensen when he went to Russia, to help make that movie, Eastern Promises. he got rickrolled over there. But you know, maybe one day we can live in a society where nobody gets rickrolled. Maybe we could. Maybe that's a possibility. And all these things are important because they're all in regards to my opinion of where the Canadian apparatus, you know, basically the direction Canada is going. And I humbly disagree with Justin Trudeau. Um, I think he's overrated, underperforming, and blithering incompetent. And he may have the backings of people like, oh, I don't know, Miley Cyrus, Madonna, Oprah, and things like that, but which gives them a little bit of power. But you know, there's at least one vote uh, that's going to be in favor of the Conservatives and Andrew Scheer, if for no other reason but to spite Justin Trudeau for what he's trying to do to alcohol. You can't take my booze away from me. Never. Of course, it needs to be improved upon, and there are many ways we can do this. Maybe with a little bit of magic, per se. Like, it is true that people need to be trained on how to drink alcohol properly because they'll make fools out of themselves otherwise, or worse. That's true, that's fair enough. But don't think that, you know, the resources have to be divvied up so that there's less resources to, you know, make alcohol better. And people are going to go, oh, what a hypocrite you are because you're saying don't take resources away from alcohol, but meanwhile you saying that is taking resources away from the production of marijuana. Okay, fine. Fair enough. I'm a hypocrite. But that's because it's out of spite. And that's because you're a bunch of douchebags. Yeah, so anyway, yeah. To talk about Doug Ford again. I did you a favor. You gotta help me out here, man. You know, I would have similar interests as you have. Like, you tell me Doug Ford would never want to eat a burger again. Honestly. Uh, I mean, sometimes, you know, people can't lie about who they are when you know, take a gander at what they look like. You don't have to know that much about them or what their politics are or anything like that, but, you know, like, somehow I would think that would be a lie. If, you know, a tissue of lies if Doug Ford had never been into a restaurant that served burgers. That's what I think. And, you know, as I said, with the Nestle guy, the Swiss bastard, um, he sees overseas selling of our product, like water, for example, as being more lucrative and more profitable. And the thing is, what needs to change is produce, how we handle produce in this day and age as well, because the problem is you get too many people who are too damned picky. Like, it takes a lot of water to grow stuff, right? And it's like, that Swiss bastard's probably like, oh, you Canadians and Americans, you need to learn a lesson. You need to know what it's like not to have much food. You know, because sometimes it may be construed that there have been times throughout history that there have been some European countries that have not had that much food. One may suspect. But you know what? Screw them. Too fucking bad. They're not taking it from me. You can have anything you want, but you better not take it from me. And, you know, I don't think Canadians should, you know, have to sacrifice their produce so that somebody else gets more of it than us. Because that somebody might also be a dirty, well, I'm not going to say it, underhanded dealing Asian type person as well. We don't know that that Swiss bastard is a Nazi, but he sure looks like one. And that doesn't mean he won't shaft over us. And that is what he's trying to do. And it may not be him, actually. He may have been, like I said, the old geezer, the old man, poster boy for, say, as odd as that sounds, who they put up as a front seat to, promote the idea of water has to be bottled and blah, 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 blah. And maybe he's got some solid points, but, as I said before, I disagree. And in light of limited facts that I have, like in the, directly presented in front of me, most notably somebody being very mad at me for saying that marijuana is bad, and the fact that it's going to cost them money at the stock market and blah, blah, blah. Well, I've got to say this. You're going to have to put up with Doug Ford type people, and they're not going to be pushovers who are going to take what you got to say so easily. Maybe I do get a little spooked every now and then, like when my Marilyn Monroe poster fell over. But that's what would you call it? I don't know. I suppose animal instinct or something like that. Whatever. And what a day this has already been. Well, it's technically still night, but like, why do all these problems have to interfere with what I do? Can't I drink some booze on my own and live in peace without some stupid sanctimonious jack off, or however you pronounce it over there, jerk off or whatever, telling me what to do? I mean, I think I'm a sensible person. I like to think that. And, yeah, I'm tired of this topic. Why is this even on the discussion board? It has to be, that's why. Because you got too many idiots running around who are idiots. And should not be in charge of anything. However, as you may know from watching some of my other videos, that I want to sell NHL hockey jerseys. And, that may be what I'm saying here, and then turning around selling hockey jerseys, which are made in some Asian country anyway. I don't know which one. I mean, it says Indonesia on the label, and maybe that is true. However, I'm going to make a video about hockey jerseys soon enough. Or hockey as a whole, because it's an intricate sport. It's more than simply what goes on the ice. Anyway, yeah. So there's there are options here, and I have laid down the framework of what types of things I prefer, and the kind of values I have, because that's the thing Justin Trudeau always goes on about. Canadian values, people kind, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, you shut up, you crooked-nosed bastard. Try to take what's mine and, distort it and change it and do things to it that I don't like? No. Where was I now? Oh, right. I still have my martini glass right here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish drinking this alcohol, and then probably get some sleep, because I got things to do in the morning, well, in 6 hours time or so, and it's like, or maybe 8 hours, I forget when it is, I'll have to look on the calendar. It could be 10 hours from now, actually. Or, actually, I could probably get things done in 4 hours. It all really depends, on certain factors. So anyway, I'm going to try and get some more sleep. But, I obviously cannot take that psychiatric medication right now, because it'll knock me over like a sack of potatoes. And, you know, um, I kind of need that to not happen because I have to get stuff done in the morning. I have things to do at specific times. Um, and it's all their fault anyway why I don't have a normal sleeping schedule. It's all their fault. Anyway, uh, rise and shine, assholes. It's a new day. And, you know, I gotta get prepared to leave and go about my business. So you people have a good day. And if you don't want to have a good day because you're too pissed off about what happens in the world and, you know, that sort of stuff, like if you're an MADD type person and you become bitter and sour about it, you know, like some sort of, you know, ancient relic from Egypt or something that's crumbling apart. And so people know it was not black people who were the Egyptians. It wasn't exactly people who look like me, but we're the ones that won at the end of the day, so it doesn't even matter. It was actually Arabs, and Arabs were actually way worse as far as having black slaves than white people ever were. Because whenever people think of slavery, they go, oh, it was the white man. Actually, no, man. The Arabs were a lot more brutal about it, and they still do it. Because you have some, you know, Muslim-looking fucker in 300 stand up and he's all dignified and all that, he's still what you'd call a slave. And, you know, the Arabs were actually a lot more brutal slave masters than the white people were. And, you know, that's something a lot of blacks don't understand because they is stupid. Anyway, none of that is important. So I'm going to finish off this video and get myself orientated, get things going. Anyway, talk to you people later.